Massive question marks for the D's, a shock for the reigning premiers, and Clarko, he's done it again. The round so far, Kane has proved a tipster's nightmare.
Absolutely, Mitch. How good's footy? Who would have predicted the results that we've had so far? I want to start at the MCG because I'm just shocked by this performance from Melbourne today. It was a coaching masterstroke from Ken Hinkley. I thought Melbourne would have been the team to come out and target Port Adelaide physically. It was the other way around.
Yep.
Port Adelaide physically got under the skin of Melbourne. Started well, the D's, but this was what we saw for the majority of the game after quarter time. It was a very uncharacteristic performance from the Melbourne Football Club, and there's serious questions that they'd be asking right now about their preparation and how they've allowed this to happen.
10 touches for Jack Viney. Nathan Jones was underdone in the pre-season. Neither of those guys played JLT, and as we can see here in the vision, last quarter, the Demons just stunk it up by foot.
Yeah, I mean, you can accept skill errors, can't you? But when Port Adelaide have more disposals but out-tackle Melbourne by 18, there's some serious question marks about the mental attitude of those Melbourne players coming into this game. They probably thought it was all going to happen, particularly after they started so well. But it was Port Adelaide, led by their young, enthusiastic brigade with 4 debutants, that were a much better side today. And Melbourne, the #1 ranked list in the competition, the best midfield last year, completely beaten up by a younger side, and they'd be ashamed of their performance today.
Now, you mentioned that physicality. Max Gawn, they went out and targeted him, the power. Last year in the prelim, Max Gawn got beaten up by 2 ruckmen. Same happened again today.
Yeah, and this is what I mean with Ken Hinkley out coaching Simon Goodwin today. Tag team Max Gawn, who was the #1 hitouts man in the competition, one of the most feared ruckmen that we've ever seen. He averaged 45 hitouts last year, Max Gawn, just 23 today. He only had the 13 disposals. He was ineffective. I want to highlight that effort there. That is very un-Max Gawn-like. He'd be embarrassed by that right now. That's I've seen players get dropped for that.
Yeah, okay.
That's how bad that is. He's put the one hand out. He's avoided contact, and it's cost his team a goal. And you can tell Port Adelaide getting under his skin at half-time. I love that from Ken Hinkley, highlighting the job that Lycett had done at half-time. They went in with a plan, they executed it, and I haven't seen anyone get under Max Gawn's skin like that for probably a couple of years.
Ken's thrown Jack Watts behind the footy. We know the pre-season that he's had. Most of it self-inflicted, we must say. It's pretty emotional, Jack Watts, post-game on Fox Footy.
I can sense the relief on you, mate.
Yeah, it is. It's just pure relief. I had weeks where I didn't want to get out of bed, mate, and probably never ever experienced anything like that. I'll cop more shit from people saying that I'm no good at footy for 1,000 years compared to what I've been through the last few months. So
Take your time, mate. Take your time.
Yeah, and for a player that sometimes is laconic, and you think, well, how much does footy mean to Jack Watts? You can tell that's how much it means to him. I just thought that's one of the best interviews that I've ever heard. They recruited him to play forward. They were steadfast that he was going to play forward. Well, 12 months in, that's out the window. So now he's starting on a wing, he's drifting behind the ball. That's the best game potentially I've seen Jack Watts play, certainly for his time at Port Adelaide. Thought he was really strong in the contest, he was courageous in the air. His ball use has always been a highlight for him, but he opened up the play with some of his angle kicks today, and he was the key reason why Port Adelaide beat his old side.
He needed that game after the summer. Now, up to the Gabba tonight, we spoke about upsets. The Brisbane Lions, 5 wins last year, knocking off the reigning premiers. And we couldn't look past our Saturday star, Charlie Cameron. 3 goals in a pretty dynamic first half.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary performance from Brisbane. They scored 14 goals to 2 after quarter time against the reigning premiers. This man here was an exciting machine last year. I think we forget how good his start to the year was last year. He got injured with that nasty foot injury after round 11, but he started like he started last year. He's got the potential to be the best small forward in the game. I think he can go past Eddie Betts. I think he can be the equal of Luke Bruce in the forward line, so he's dynamic. He's one of the best tacklers in the game. He can mark it, and he can kick it on the ground as we saw there. So terrific performance from Charlie Cameron and the Brisbane Lions tonight.
Partnered with Lincoln McCarthy, 4 goals up forward for the former Cat, who could hardly get on the park. Lachie Neale as well, strong in his first game. There are a few headaches for the Eagles. We saw Adam Simpson go to the bench. It's the first time we've seen this since the Derby last year when Andrew Gaff hit Andy Brayshaw. A few concerns at the Eagles?
Yeah, potentially. You don't know what the new rules and the lack of access to runners has played into that and his decision to go down there. So perhaps he thought he may have got some control. We saw Chris Fagan from the Lions also coaching from there, but they had 4 out of their top 5 goal kickers out. They were a very inexperienced side. Gaff's still not there, Nat Nui's not there, and Liam Ryan was also suspended late in that game, so potentially 5 out of their 6 top goal scorers won't be there next week. So I'm not too concerned. I think they've got 3 out of their next 4 at home. They're always going to be tough to beat there, but sometimes the teams that go deep into the season the previous year just take a little bit of time to get going.
Over to Marvel Stadium now, the Bulldogs, they were pretty sharp. Tom Liberatore back with a bang. Aaron Norton in attack. They look sharp. 15th ranked last year for goals scored, the Bulldogs, and they didn't have any dramas kicking a winning score against Sydney.
Yeah, they're always dangerous on this ground. I feel like you're always a chance with the Dogs when they play at Marvel Stadium. That was the case tonight, but once again, I wouldn't have tipped this performance. It was a terrific performance. They plus 21 inside 50s. They had 7 more scoring shots. They were strong at the stoppages. You mentioned Liberatore, he's playing for his football life.
Yep.
And how often do we see a player in the last year of their contract really decide that I'm going to have a serious crack at it? Great start for him. 8 clearances, 8 inside 50s, and was a key part of that win tonight.
Big moment deep into the last quarter. 6 points the difference. Buddy Franklin has the ball after a pretty quiet night by his standards. Talk us through this one and what took place.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. I just can't believe that a player, the most experienced player on the ground, he's kicked over 900 goals, does not know the rules and understand the rules. You've got 30 seconds, buddy, to have a set shot. Look at the score there. Look how close it is. That's to tie the game with 8 minutes to go. Called play on by the umpire for a professional footballer that's getting paid $1 million a year. I just find that unacceptable.
And they were coming hard at that stage, the Swans too. That would have tied it up and really put the pressure back on the Dogs. Now, Isaac Kane took mark of the year last year late in the season. How about this ever in the first handful of minutes in the game? Can you believe he's done this again after what he delivered last year?
Yeah, just one of the most dynamic players in the game. I think that one's better than the one he took last year. It's going to take some beating round 1. I don't think that'll be the mark of the year. I think someone else will beat that, but I think that one's better than the one he took last year.
So you're saying last year the batch of marks wasn't good enough?
I think they got it wrong last year. I didn't think he had the mark of the year.
Oh, we might have to delve into that later on. Now over to Adelaide, your hometown. Another upset. Alistair Clarkson doing the job, and the Crows, the team we all thought were going to improve this year, bombarded by the Hawks.
Wouldn't Clarko love to coach against Don Pike every week? I think he's 4-1 against Don Pike. Once again, everyone would have picked, or most people would have picked Adelaide to win this. Hawthorn, the wounded Hawks, they're ageing. We tend to write them off every year. I know I certainly did, but this was just strange ball use from the Crows. They continue to just bomb the ball inside 50. Their tall forwards were ineffective. Lynch, Jenkins, Walker did not hit the scoreboard at all. Part of that is because of the ball use going inside 50. I mean, have a look at that. That is a skill error under no pressure whatsoever. Hawthorn's intercept marking today. Both their tall defenders and their smalls, including Impey, who was terrific, continued to mark the ball, and they kicked 8 goals from Crows turnovers this afternoon.
Hawks fans were crying out for a replacement for Tom Mitchell. We know about Jager O'Meara. They may have found one in James Warple. He was super today.
He's a cult hero, and can you believe he was picked 45 in the draft? Not sure how he slipped that deep, because he's got everything covered. I mean, he's got some weaknesses to his game. Just seeing the goal there from O'Meara, who was good again. But Warple is tough, he's courageous, he has power. He goes into the middle of the ground and wins clearances, and he finished off his work today with 2 nice goals. So certainly O'Meara and Warple, you can see the little don't argue on your own teammate there, were one of the main reasons and the key pillars as to why Hawthorn was so good today.
Now the Crows, they lost Jake Lever a couple of years ago. Tom Doedee down with a suspected ACL. We're expecting that to be confirmed in the coming days. This is a massive blow.
It's a huge blow. We'll speak about Alex Ranch shortly, but that one there, just so innocuous, if that's the word, just pivoted down straight away. He knew it. He was terrific last year, the best interceptor in their side. So no Lever from 12 months ago, now no Doedee for the remainder of the year. So it does make their backline a little bit bland. You've got Talia's there, Hardigan will come back in, Keith is already there, but they are genuine stoppers. Doedee was the one that can come off and intercept and use the ball pretty well. So huge hole for Don Pike to fill. Just wonder whether they might throw Darcy Fogarty, their first pick from 12 months ago, into defence. We know he's a forward, but can go and has practiced pre-season behind the ball.
Another injury concern, Richard Douglas off with a syndesmosis injury. We'll learn more about that as the week unfolds. Now, Kane, we thought we could get much better here on the round so far, but we're stepping it up a notch this year to chat all things social. Mel Horsey, welcome. What's been making news?
Thanks, Mitch. Yeah, round 1 has started with some serious star power in the stands. Thor himself was at Marvel Stadium tonight to see the Doggies get the win. Chris Hemsworth, he's been uploading to Instagram, and he was flanked by a fellow Hollywood actor. See if you can pick who it is.
There we go. First goal, Bulldogs. And...
Pretty excited. Gil McLachlan was in the box as well, and they also saw a Dogs debutant in that game.
They did indeed. That was Matt Damon, if you didn't pick it, by the way. Bailey Smith made his debut tonight, and we love to see when young footballers get to meet their footy heroes, and we've dug up this one of Bailey Smith earlier in his life, met Buddy Franklin, and of course they played against each other tonight, and Bailey Smith come away with the chocolates there. But he's not the only one that we've noticed has met with his footy heroes and then come up against them later on the footy field. Kane Corns.
Oh.
This is you in the early 90s. Do you want to take us through this?
Yeah, shocking tie, but Croft was one of my heroes. They were playing international rules at Footy Park, the old Footy Park, and was lucky enough to get to meet him. And then, you're right, a couple of years later, probably 2 or 3 years later, I was trying to tag him. But he was very good, and you never forget that, so that was a big thrill.
Did you bring that up with him when later in life?
No, I didn't. I actually posted that picture on Twitter once, and he got involved. I think he had a crack at my tie, so didn't
Fair enough.
ever lose his humour, Shane Crawford.
Now, Mel, the star power wasn't confined to Marvel Stadium. We also saw some over in the US.
Yeah, that's right. Aussie NBA superstar Ben Simmons took to Twitter to wish Essendon all the best ahead of their 2019 campaign. He actually had to follow this one up with another tweet just to put Sixers fans at ease because they saw him declaring his love for another team. He explained it by saying that Essendon is to him what the Eagles are to those in Philly. So all Sixers fans can rest easy. AFL and footy, very separate. He's not going anywhere.
Maybe a Category B rookie in years to come. Thanks for that, Mel. Don't forget you can get involved. Hashtag the round so far. Now, Kane, back to Friday night. Tim Kelly, 31 touches, 9 clearances against a star-studded Pies midfield. Didn't do that fat contract much harm.
No, he didn't, and best on ground according to his coach, Chris Scott, who spoke to the media today. But yeah, he was terrific in all facets. I thought he was the best fourth-quarter performer on the night. We know how strong Geelong were in the trade period. He wanted to go home. They said, nah, we're going to hold you to your contract, which was a good move, and I supported it at the time. They're reaping the rewards of that. His name's going to come up all year, though, isn't it? With that link back home to Perth, would it be Freo? Would it be West Coast? And you'd have to think he's going to attract a contract between the $700,000 and $800,000 mark, considering what Dan Hanbury got in the trade period,
yep.
Also what Jared Polak reportedly got from North Melbourne. I think, Tim Kelly is far better player than both of those.
He's the best $200,000 player in the comp at the moment.
Yeah, well, he is. He's probably on a base contract in his second year of that deal at Geelong plus match payments. So great value they're getting for him now, but as the weeks go on, if he continues to perform like that, I should say, that's going to keep going up.
Now, you flagged it earlier, the Alex Rance injury. This is massive for the Tigers. It's going to put a big question mark on their defence with David Asprey and Dylan Grimes needing to pick up more slack. Yeah,
I think that's the word. I think question mark is the right word. Look, I think that they're going to be good enough and their system allows them to cover for one player, and even they'll take confidence out of, the West Coast losing Gaff and Nat Nui last year. Different players completely, but you can replace one star player. I think Richmond can do that.
So they can still win it?
They can still win it, yeah, I think they can. With Asprey and Grimes, as long as they stay sound and their other stars that they've got stay sound, their system allows them to cover back there. But for the opposition going into games against Richmond, a lot less headaches, not having to worry about Alex Rance.
Now, you were big on the Blues last year, very strong on their performance in a 2-win season. Brendan Bolton keep telling us about these green shoots. We went back to the positive card on Thursday night after that loss. Let's take a look at his comments.
I'm falling in love with our players. I know that sounds mushy. I know it's a word that we don't use a lot, but they're really tight and of the same age. They're having really open discussions with me about how they feel and I with them, and we're connecting really strongly. So there's an element of pride.
It's one of the most bizarre things that I've ever heard in a post-match press conference, when you're talking about love and you are almost accepting of the fact of an honourable loss. I compare that with Brisbane and their attitude now. Brisbane, a similar stage in their development as what Carlton are. They go out there round one, knock off the reigning premiers comfortably. Just feels to me like Carlton are happy to accept close enough. And if I was a Carlton fan, I'd be furious hearing that. I don't want to be hearing love after a game where you give up the first 5 goals of the game. You don't score a goal in the first quarter. It was similar last year. I think they were a pretty honourable loss in round 1 against Richmond last year. They go on and win 2 games for the year. Look, I think they'll improve this year, but I haven't heard anything like that before, and I just think I'd like to see tough love, if that's the word. I know it's a different generation, but I don't want to be hearing love after a loss like that.
Okay, now to the rest of the round. St Kilda take on Gold Coast at Marvel Stadium. Jack Stephen back for the Saints. Dylan Shield up against the Bombers at the new name Giants Stadium. And Fremantle taking on North Melbourne. Pretty evenly poised that game. That one, Kane?
It is. We're almost out of time here, Mitch, but something caught my attention on Thursday night. You were doing the rounds in another role on the boundary line. You go into the post-match change rooms after the game.
Oh, no, not this.
This happened.
Might go over with Tom Hawkins and grab Tom Hawkins over here if we can. Just before you do that, mate. Thank you. Come over here. I want to show you something on the TV over here.
Been mated by BT.
About the disrespect from Brian Taylor, and you, insipid performance, just shrivelled up and let him have his way, took your interview, stole it. Explain yourself.
I was always told from day one you give the host broadcaster everything they want. We were an ad break and we did a better interview with Tom Hawkins anyway.
Disgraceful.
Thanks for that, Kane. Thanks for that, Mel Horsey. We'll be here same time, same place, right here on The Round So Far next week.